Back to it on KMJ. Measure P for parks. Dave McDonald, formerly of Pelco, now retired, is for it. Darius Assemi, the president of Granville Homes, is against it. He don't like it. And Darius, you wanted to respond before the break, so go.
Right now, what's in front of us, again, just because it's in front of us doesn't make it right or responsible. It is a measure. Yes, they spend a lot of money getting signatures from 36,000 plus people, and I respect many of my friends that are on the pro-peace side. I do. But again, the question for your audience is, for the listener, do you want to come back in 2 years and add another 3/8 cents tax? Is 30 years too long? Is $38 million a year currently on the books too long?
The measure does things like, for example, Ray, provides money for trails and improved access for the San Joaquin River Parkway project. It adds 80 miles of bike and jogging and walking trails throughout the city of Fresno. It provides sustained funding for Storyland Playland, which everybody knows has, been through a lot of financial difficulties. There'll now be enough money to maintain and continue those operations that, many people around here remember from when they were kids. It also provides, for example, jobs training for veterans. It provides for beautifying and fixing up our freeways that need it, and in particular, like 99, which is a deplorable condition.
As citizens, we should have a line-by-line item. If it's for 160 cops, that's got to be a line item. So the measure should say clearly, here's exactly where the money goes, and it should be an annual report sent to all the residents of this community so we know where our precious tax dollars are being spent.
There is strict oversight by a committee of citizens, as there should be, the same as what we did with Measure Z.
Appointed by who? Do you know?
And I don't know the exact mechanism for that, but they're going to be citizen proponents for Measure P, not politicians that might want to divert the money.
We're just going to create more breeding grounds. The question you have to ask yourself, Natalie, is having more parks with more homeless hanging out and more illicit activity, would you feel safe to go into those parks? By the way, there's millions and millions of dollars of state grant funds that the city of Fresno should be applying for to maintain and build parks.
And I'll reiterate the campaign's position that this could easily be done under the guise of Measure P with sworn police officers. And if you calculate what $5 million would do, it's 42 additional police officers. And right now, the city's responsible for the safety and security in these parks. So they're trying to do that, but everybody knows they're stretched thin and that the security and safety within our parks is deplorable.
What's the guarantee these 42 cops are going to be looking after these parks and not tending after other things?
Well, the measure calls for the specific funding for personnel for the safety and security of the parks and surrounding areas. And I don't have any doubt that, with that being the intent, that's how Jerry Dyer would use these officers.
Okay.
Homeless issues won't go away with Measure P. The court ruling, Ninth Circuit District Court, came out and said you cannot evict homeless from parks. So taxing ourselves $38 million for 30 years is not going to make our homeless issue go away. We should address homelessness in a new measure in 2020. Vague spending criteria. I mean, the park ranger program, there's no specific dollar attached to that on item number 1A of the measure. I have it right in front of me. It just says spending money on park ranger program. How much? We don't know. Some commission is going to make a decision down the road. Yes, there's deferred maintenance all across this community. We have deferred maintenance. We should prioritize and address. In my opinion, the number one deferred maintenance area we should address is public safety. Police department is short 160 cops. Fire department is one of the lowest, has 40 short firefighters, is one of the lowest firefighter per capita next to Detroit. This is according to the fire department. We should defeat this measure, come back in 2020 with a public safety plus parks, that it is a much shorter term, not 38 years, maybe 15 years. That's something that we can actually hold government accountable. And again, I want to remind everybody, if you have a school that has that the classroom size is 60 kids, you don't go build more playgrounds, you hire more teachers. That's my whole point. We should address our public safety needs first. then come back and put our heart and soul into it, work with the pro-P folks, the homeless folk advocates, and address the ills of our community in 2020.
With Measure P and a Measure S at the figures that have been thrown around, which is a quarter cent, Fresno would still be ranked fifth lowest amongst the 8 largest cities in the state. So we would still be below average with our sales tax rate with both of these passed. And that's why, it seems like a false narrative that we have to sort of do one or the other. The Measure P campaign polled that question earlier this year. What would be the support for a standalone public safety measure? And it came out overwhelmingly positive, with 78% of the voters saying they would support that at a quarter cent. So there's just no reason we can't do both. It's just that Measure P folks were on the ball and got this done sooner than the public safety supporters have, and that's not the fault of Measure P. But when that comes up, hopefully in 2 years, I think there'll be overwhelming support for it, and we can have both. Great cities don't choose between the huge priorities that make them great. They find a way to do both. And I know the Fresno voters will approve both, and it just has to be in this sequence because Measure P is the only one that's on the ballot.
Fast but flawed is irresponsible the way we currently have it. And let me say this about the tax measure. Currently, we're at 7.975. If this passes, it goes to 8.35. If the Measure P supporters want to come back with a Measure S in 2020, our taxes will be over 8.7%, which would be higher than even it'll be higher than San Francisco. And currently, look at all the new development neighborhoods. The city parks crews is not doing a great job maintaining perimeter landscaping and parks in new developments over the last 10 years. Now we want to add $38 million more to that budget. That's irresponsible. We need to do it once, do it right, and have a lot more accountability so voters know exactly what they're paying for.
Talking about the effect of the sales tax, the strongest support by far for Measure P is in the lower income areas of South and West Fresno. So obviously they don't agree with Mr. Assemi's assessment. Great cities find a way to do all of the things needed to make them great, and I'm sure our city will do that. And fighting City Hall on this, is honestly a really, I'd say a very bad optic for the city on something that we need this bad.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ray.
Darius
Thank you, David. I have a lot
Dave
of respect
McDonald.
for you and all the supporters of P. Let's come back in 2 years and do it together.
Measure P on KMJ. Wow. I hope you enjoyed that. This is KMJ, back in a flash.